One, two, Freddy's coming for you. There's something about that little line that feels very wrong. Not because it's loud, not because it explains everything, but because in the movie it is sung by three little girls jumping rope. It should feel harmless. It should sound like a playground rhyme, something simple and childish. But in A Nightmare on Elm Street, that innocent little song becomes a warning, and somehow that makes it worse because the movie understands something very unsettling. The safest things can become frightening when horror gets inside them. A bedroom, a childhood rhyme, a dream. Sleep is supposed to be safe. Sleep is where we go when the day is over. The lights are off, the room gets quiet, and the world finally stops asking so much from us. But on Elm Street, sleep is not an escape. Sleep is the door. And once that idea gets into your head, the entire movie starts to feel different. Because the scary thing is not just Freddy Krueger. The scary thing is realizing there may be no safe place to go when even your dreams can turn against you. Let's talk about the dreamlike horror of Elm Street. What makes A Nightmare on Elm Street so unsettling is that it takes something ordinary and private and makes it dangerous. Everyone sleeps, everyone dreams. Even if we do not remember our dreams, most of us know that strange feeling of waking up and needing a second to understand where we are. That soft confusion, that little moment where reality has to put itself back together. Elm Street lives inside that moment. It takes the strange logic of our dreams and turns it into a place where danger can move freely. In a normal horror movie, you might run, you might lock the door, you might leave the house. But in a nightmare, the rules are different. The hallway can stretch, a familiar room can become unfamiliar, a door can open into a place that should not be there. And worst of all, you might not realize you're dreaming until it is already too late. That is why dream horror is so powerful. It does not have to follow the rules we understand. A dream can change the ground under your feet. It can make a place feel familiar and impossible at the same time. And Elm Street uses that instability perfectly. The movie understands that dreams do not need to make perfect sense to feel real. Sometimes dreams feel real because they are emotional. You can wake up knowing something did not literally happen, but your body has not caught up yet. Your heart is still racing, your shoulders are tight, the room is dark, and for a few seconds, that dream is still with you. That is the kind of fear Elm Street plays with. It is not only the fear of being attacked, it is the fear of being unable to trust your own mind. Freddy is scary because he crosses a boundary that should not be crossed. A lot of horror villains can get into your house. Some can find you in the woods. Some can wait in the basement. But Freddy gets into your dreams. That makes him feel intimate in a way that is deeply uncomfortable. He waits for you in the place where you are at your most vulnerable. And the more tired you become, the weaker you get. That is such a cruel kind of horror because eventually everyone has to sleep. You can fight it for a while. You can keep the lights on. You can drink coffee. You can sit up and tell yourself you are fine. But the body always asks for sleep again. And that is where the fear becomes inescapable. It is not just, can I survive the night? It becomes, can I survive closing my eyes? That is a terrifying question. There is also something very childhood based about Elm Street. The movie is filled with things that should feel familiar: bedrooms, parents, school, neighborhood streets, places that should feel safe. And then there's the rhyme, that soft sing song warning, the kind of thing that sounds like it belongs on a playground, except now it feels like a threat. That is part of what gives Elm Street its strange power. It does not only feel like adult fear, it feels like childhood fear that grew claws: the fear of the dark, the fear of the thing under the bed, the fear of someone being in the room when no one should be there, the fear that adults do not fully understand what is happening, even when you are trying to tell them. As a child, fear does not always need a full explanation. Sometimes the room just feels wrong. Sometimes the hallway is too dark. Sometimes the closet door is open, and that is enough. Elm Street takes that old childhood logic and makes it literal. The nightmare is real. The thing in the dark can reach you. The dream does not just stay a dream. And that is where the movie becomes more than just slasher horror. It becomes dream horror, surreal horror, the horror of not knowing whether you are awake enough to be safe. I think one of the reasons Elm Street lingers is because dreams already have a strange relationship with reality. Most of us have had dreams that felt emotionally true, even when the details made no sense. A house that was somehow your house, but not your house. A feeling that something was behind you. Dreams take pieces of real life and rearrange them until they become something unfamiliar. And horror fits naturally inside that because horror often starts with the familiar turning strange. A bedroom should be safe. A bed should mean rest. Closed eyes should mean escape. But Elm Street asks, what if closing your eyes is the dangerous part? That is such a simple idea, and that is why it works. The movie does not need to make sleep complicated, it just has to make sleep unsafe. Once it does that, every tired blink becomes suspicious. Every dark bedroom becomes a possible doorway. Every quiet night has a little unease hiding inside it. And Freddy works because he belongs to that dream logic. He is not only scary because of his look or what he does, he is scary because he feels like something that should not be able to exist in the real world, but somehow does. He is part nightmare, part warning, part childhood fear with a voice. Because the dreams are unstable, his presence feels unstable too. You are never completely sure what kind of scene you are in. Is this normal? Is this a dream? Has the nightmare already started? That uncertainty keeps the viewer slightly off balance. And being off balance is one of the best places for horror to put us. Because when we do not know the rules, safety becomes harder to find. That is also why Elm Street feels so dreamlike when the story is simple. The idea that the nightmare might follow you back. Because if the dream can touch the real world, then waking up is not a full escape anymore. That is the kind of horror that stays with you after the movie ends. The idea that sleep, the thing you need, the thing your body cannot avoid, could become dangerous. That is why the dreamlike horror of Elm Street still works. You can watch the movie, and later that night, your bedroom looks different. And for one tiny second before you sleep, You think about what might be waiting on the other side of a dream. That sleep itself has become the place where he can find you. And once a horror movie makes you suspicious of sleep, it has done something powerful because everyone has to sleep eventually. One, two. This is the Quiet Unease. Stay safe until we meet again.